Is the life you're living truly yours, or is it a carefully constructed illusion? What if the memories you hold dear, the very fabric of your reality, are not as fixed as you believe? This isn't just a philosophical exercise. It strikes at the heart of your personal power and the future of our world. We're diving into the unsettling possibility of a timeline split, a radical divergence in reality, branching into countless potential futures. This concept suggests that reality isn't a singular, predetermined path, but rather a dynamic and ever-shifting landscape of possibilities, and it has major implications. Consider this. Have you ever encountered a collective misremembering of a shared event? Perhaps you vividly recall Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s, only to discover he lived well into the 21st century. These aren't isolated incidents of faulty memory. They're widespread and consistent discrepancies known as the Mandela effect, and they might be more than just tricks of the mind. Intriguingly, the plot thickens when we introduce a potential player, the Central Intelligence Agency. What if this organization has been actively researching and potentially manipulating these very timeline shifts? Before you dismiss this as mere conspiracy, consider the declassified documents that reveal the CIA's deep and abiding interest in consciousness, time, and bending the very rules of what we perceive as real. Is it possible they knew of this timeline split long ago? Understanding the timeline split is crucial because it affects everything. It challenges our fundamental understanding of reality and our role within it. It raises profound questions about free will, determinism, and the potential for manipulation. A timeline split could trigger increased instability and division on a societal level, and the erosion of shared truths. Yet, it also presents unprecedented possibilities for personal and collective transformation. What's even more remarkable is that knowledge of this potential split can empower you. It can provide the tools to navigate this shifting reality, consciously shape your personal timeline, and thrive amidst the uncertainty. This isn't just about understanding conspiracy theories. It's about reclaiming your power, understanding the nature of reality, and consciously creating the future you desire. The CIA's pursuit of consciousness manipulation isn't a recent phenomenon. As we'll explore later, projects like MK Ultra delved into the potential of mind control and psychic abilities. But what if those were simply stepping stones, preliminary experiments paving the way for something far more ambitious? What if they uncovered the key to manipulating time itself? Let's clarify what we mean by timeline in this context. Forget the traditional notion of a linear, unchanging historical record. We're talking about multiple, branching pathways, each representing a different potential reality, each vibrating at a different frequency. The timeline isn't so much a road through history, but a river, splitting into numerous streams, each flowing toward a different destination. In this video, we will connect the dots between seemingly disparate topics: the CIA's covert experiments, the perplexing mysteries of the Mandela effect, the mind-bending world of quantum physics, and the empowering practice of conscious creation. These elements are all interconnected in ways you might never have imagined. Get ready to discover the importance of recognizing patterns and synchronicities in your daily life. The strange coincidences, the feelings of déjà vu, and the nagging sensation that something is off. These might not be random occurrences. They could be clues, subtle hints that you are experiencing a shift in your personal timeline. Is reality truly real, or is it being subtly shaped by forces beyond our comprehension? Is the CIA actively pulling the strings, or are they merely observers, documenting a natural phenomenon? And perhaps most importantly, can we seize control of our own timelines, becoming the architects of our own destinies? Are we already in a different timeline than we were a year ago? As we journey deeper, we'll uncover potential evidence of timeline manipulation, urging you to consider the uncomfortable possibility that our shared reality is not as stable as we assume. We'll examine specific instances of the Mandela effect and propose potential explanations, challenging your assumptions about the nature of memory and shared experience. Have you noticed subtle alterations in familiar brands, historical events, or even personal memories? We'll be diving into specific examples of the Mandela effect, exploring their potential causes and uncovering unsettling patterns. And we'll also explore the mind-bending world of quantum physics, revealing how your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs can actively shape your reality. The implications are staggering, and what's coming up next will truly blow your mind. So, what exactly did the CIA hope to achieve by delving into the human mind? The rabbit hole goes far deeper than simple espionage. Let's rewind the clock to the Cold War era, a time of intense paranoia and relentless competition. The CIA, desperate to gain an edge over the Soviets, embarked on a series of clandestine experiments under the infamous banner of Project MK-Ultra. These experiments, shrouded in secrecy for decades, involved sensory deprivation, hypnosis, and the administration of psychedelic drugs like LSD. The purported goal was to unlock the secrets of mind control, to be able to manipulate individuals into divulging information, or even to create unwitting assassins. But according to some researchers, the true objective was far more insidious and reaching into the realm of manipulating the fabric of reality itself, or at least trying to understand if it were possible. What if the CIA believed that by controlling the mind, they could control reality itself? The ethical implications are staggering, and the agency's motivations remain a subject of intense debate. Was it purely a matter of national security, or was something darker at play? Beyond mind control, the CIA also invested heavily in exploring psychic abilities, particularly remote viewing. The Stargate Project, a top-secret initiative that ran for over 2 decades, sought to harness the power of the mind to gather intelligence from afar. Participants, often with no prior psychic training, were tasked with viewing distant locations and events, often with remarkable accuracy. The CIA claimed that the Stargate project yielded valuable intelligence, providing insights into Soviet military installations and other sensitive targets. Skeptics, of course, dismissed these claims as mere coincidence or clever guesswork. However, the sheer volume of anecdotal evidence, coupled with the CIA's continued interest in the program, suggests that something significant may have been at play. But what if the ability to remotely view locations also opened a door to viewing potential futures, alternate timelines? If so, it would offer a means to glimpse possible outcomes and perhaps even influence their trajectory. This raises an even more troubling question. Could the CIA have been attempting to manipulate timelines through the power of the mind? While concrete evidence of the CIA's direct involvement in timeline manipulation remains elusive, some declassified documents and credible sources hint at the agency's interest in time travel and related phenomena. Information is scarce and heavily classified, shrouded in layers of secrecy. It's important to acknowledge that much of this remains in the realm of speculation. However, even circumstantial evidence raises disturbing questions. Did the CIA explore potential technologies for altering the past or future? Could they have experimented with advanced technologies, exotic energies, or even consciousness-based techniques to influence the flow of time? The possibilities, though speculative, are unsettling. If the CIA believes reality can be manipulated, what does that say about the nature of reality itself? Does it imply that our perceived world is merely a construct, a malleable illusion that can be shaped by those with the knowledge and power to do so? This is a question that deserves serious consideration, even if the answers remain shrouded in mystery. Let's turn our attention to the Mandela effect, a phenomenon that challenges our very understanding of memory and reality. The Berenstain Bears, for instance, you remember the name ending in Stein or Stain. The Monopoly man, did he sport a monocle, or was that just your imagination? New Zealand, where do you remember it being located on the world map? And the iconic Star Wars line, was it, "Luke, I am your father," or something slightly different? These aren't isolated instances of forgotten details. They're widespread, consistent discrepancies shared by countless people across the globe. Visual comparisons starkly highlight these discrepancies, revealing how deeply ingrained these false memories are in our collective consciousness. But are these simply cases of faulty memory? The standard explanations point to false memories, confabulation, and collective misremembering. Psychology suggests that our memories are not perfect recordings of the past, but rather reconstructions that can be easily distorted by suggestion, emotion, and other factors. However, these explanations fail to fully account for the consistency and widespread nature of the Mandela effect. Why do so many people share the same false memories, even when presented with contradictory evidence? This is where the theory of parallel realities and timeline shifts comes into play. What if the Mandela effect is caused by subtle shifts between parallel realities, alternate timelines that bleed into our own? These shifts, if real, might occur due to various factors, from larger-scale cosmic events to individual or collective consciousness. Some individuals might be more susceptible to these shifts than others, depending on their level of awareness, their emotional state, and their openness to new possibilities. This ties directly into the concept of a timeline split, where reality diverges into multiple branching pathways, each representing a different potential future. If this is true, then the Mandela effect becomes not a simple quirk of memory, but a signpost, a subtle indication that we are navigating a far more complex and fluid reality than we ever imagined. Which begs the question, have you ever felt like you were living in an alternate reality? Before we move on, let's pause for a moment and engage with you, our audience. Which of these Mandela effect examples have you personally experienced? Take a moment to answer the poll, and we'll analyze the results together. This isn't just a bit of fun. It's a way to gather data, to identify patterns, and to explore the potential significance of this phenomenon. The results could provide valuable insights into the nature of the Mandela effect and its potential implications for our understanding of reality. Let's see what your collective experiences reveal. Now, let's venture into the mind-bending world of quantum physics, a realm where the very laws of nature seem to defy common sense. To understand its relevance to timeline shifts, we need to grasp a few basic concepts. First, there's wave-particle duality, the idea that particles like electrons can behave as both waves and particles, depending on how they're observed. Then there's superposition, the principle that a quantum system can exist in multiple states simultaneously until measured. And finally, there's quantum entanglement, a phenomenon where two particles become linked together in such a way that they share the same fate, no matter how far apart they are. These concepts, though seemingly abstract, hold the key to unlocking the mysteries of reality. Think of it this way. The universe isn't a collection of solid objects, but rather a sea of possibilities, constantly shifting and evolving based on observation. Perhaps the most relevant concept in quantum physics is the observer effect. This principle states that the act of observation can influence the behavior of quantum particles. In other words, simply by looking at something, you can change it. Numerous experiments have demonstrated this effect, showing how the act of measurement can collapse the wave function of a particle, forcing it to choose a specific state. But what does this mean for our understanding of reality? Does it imply that consciousness plays a role in shaping the world around us? This is where things get truly mind-bending. If observation can influence quantum particles, could consciousness influence the macroscopic world? Could our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs actively shape our reality? While scientists remain cautious about drawing definitive conclusions, some researchers propose that consciousness is not merely a passive observer, but an active participant in the creation of reality. This doesn't mean that we can bend spoons with our minds, though who knows. But it does suggest that our inner world has a far greater impact on our outer world than we typically assume. Remember, we are exploring the potential here. but it would be negligent to not connect quantum entanglement and how it relates to understanding our reality. Quantum entanglement reveals that particles can be linked in such a way that they share the same fate, regardless of the distance separating them. If these particles can interact in this way, what is stopping the particles that make up the universe? Could this mean that everything is connected and supports the basis of consciousness? Is quantum entanglement the glue that holds our perceived reality together? More importantly, can this force be harnessed to allow for timeline manipulation? Let's bring this back to the practical, personal level. If emotions act as attractors, what kind of timeline are you currently attracting? It's time to take a closer look at the role of emotions in shaping our experiences. Positive emotions like joy, gratitude, and love can attract positive experiences, creating a virtuous cycle of abundance and well-being. Negative emotions like fear, anxiety, and anger can attract negative experiences, leading to a downward spiral of suffering and despair. This isn't just woo-New Ageism, it's a fundamental principle of energy and vibration. Like attracts like, and your emotional state acts as a powerful magnet, drawing in experiences that resonate with your dominant feelings. The good news is that you're not at the mercy of your emotions. You can learn to manage them, to cultivate a more positive emotional state, and to consciously attract the experiences you desire. Mindfulness practices, meditation, and positive affirmations are all powerful tools for emotional regulation. Start by simply observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment. Notice the patterns, identify the triggers, and gently redirect your attention towards more positive and empowering perspectives. Challenge negative thought patterns, replace them with more constructive beliefs, and affirm your ability to create a better future. It's about rewiring your brain, one thought at a time. This is the essence of the law of attraction, a principle that states that you attract into your life whatever you focus on. If you focus on lack, limitation, and fear, you'll attract more of the same. But if you focus on abundance, possibility, and love, you'll attract more of those qualities into your life. It's not about wishful thinking. It's about aligning your thoughts, emotions, and actions with your desired outcomes. To do this, consistently focus on what you want to attract, rather than what you want to avoid. Visualize your goals, feel the emotions associated with achieving them, and take inspired action towards making them a reality. Every step you take, no matter how small, sends a signal to the universe, reinforcing your intention and attracting the resources you need to succeed. Let's put this into practice right now. Let's try a quick exercise. Take a few deep breaths, close your eyes, and visualize your ideal future. What does it look like? How does it feel? What are you doing? Who are you with? Immerse yourself in this vision, feeling the emotions of joy, gratitude, and love. Hold this image in your mind for a few moments, and then gently release it, trusting that the universe is working to bring it into fruition. You could also start a gratitude journal, writing down 3 things you're grateful for each day. This simple practice can shift your focus from what you lack to what you already have, cultivating a more positive and abundant mindset. Or you could try an emotional release technique, such as tapping or breathwork, to release stored emotions and create space for more positive feelings. The key is to find what works for you and to make it a consistent practice. Let's delve deeper into the power of beliefs. Our beliefs are the foundation of our reality. They shape our perceptions, influence our behaviors, and ultimately determine our experiences. Deeply held beliefs can act as filters, selectively shaping the information we receive and reinforcing our existing worldview. If you believe that you're not good enough, that you're not worthy of love, or that the world is a dangerous place, those beliefs will create a self-fulfilling prophecy, holding you back from achieving your full potential. Limiting beliefs can be insidious, operating beneath the surface of our awareness, subtly sabotaging our efforts and keeping us trapped in cycles of negativity. So how do we break free from these limiting beliefs? The first step is to identify them. Pay attention to your thoughts, your feelings, and your behaviors. What are the recurring themes? What are the negative self-talk patterns? Once you've identified your limiting beliefs, challenge them. Ask yourself, is this belief really true? What evidence do I have to support it? What evidence contradicts it? Often, you'll find that your limiting beliefs are based on outdated information, past experiences, or simply inaccurate assumptions. Once you've challenged your limiting beliefs, replace them with more empowering ones. Use cognitive restructuring techniques to reframe negative thoughts into more positive and constructive ones. Affirmations, positive statements that you repeat to yourself regularly, can also be helpful in shifting your beliefs. Visualize yourself living as if you already hold these new beliefs, feeling the emotions of confidence, worthiness, and empowerment. This is about reprogramming your subconscious mind, replacing limiting beliefs with empowering ones that align with your desired timeline. Consider the placebo effect, a phenomenon where the belief in a treatment can lead to real physiological changes, even if the treatment itself is inert. Countless studies have demonstrated the power of the placebo effect, showing how our beliefs can directly influence our health, our well-being, and even our physical performance. But what about the opposite? The nocebo effect highlights how negative beliefs can cause harm. If you believe that a treatment will have negative side effects, you're more likely to experience those side effects, even if the treatment is harmless. This underscores the profound impact of our beliefs on our reality, showing how our thoughts can literally shape our bodies and our experiences. Your beliefs have ramifications for your mental and physical well-being. Finally, let's explore the significance of synchronicities as potential indicators of alignment with a preferred timeline. Synchronicities are those meaningful coincidences that seem to have a deeper significance, those moments when the universe seems to be winking at you, letting you know that you're on the right path. They're not random events, but rather subtle signs that you're in alignment with your true purpose, that you're vibrating at the right frequency. Synchronicities can manifest in many ways, such as seeing repeated numbers, 111, 222, 333, encountering specific symbols, hearing a particular song at the right time, or meeting the right person at the right moment. They're often accompanied by a feeling of knowing, a sense of intuitive certainty that you're exactly where you need to be. To recognize synchronicities, you need to pay attention to the details of your life. Be present in the moment, observe your surroundings, and trust your intuition. Keep a journal to record your synchronicities, noting the date, time, and circumstances surrounding each event. Over time, you'll begin to notice patterns, to decipher the language of the universe, and to understand the deeper meaning behind these coincidences. Learn to trust your intuition and pay attention to your feelings. What do you notice around you? By doing so, you'll start to unlock a level of peace you didn't even know was possible. The deeper you dive into the secrets and meanings of synchronicities, the more insight you'll gain. Now, let's turn our attention to a force that can actively distort our perception of those synchronicities, muddying the waters of reality: disinformation. Disinformation isn't merely mistaken information, the kind we all stumble upon and share from time to time. That's misinformation. Disinformation is a deliberate campaign, a calculated effort to spread false information with the express purpose of deceiving you. Think of it as a carefully constructed lie, designed to manipulate your beliefs, your emotions, and ultimately, your perception of reality. History is rife with examples of devastating disinformation campaigns. Consider the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, a fabricated text that purported to reveal a Jewish conspiracy to control the world. This blatant falsehood, created in the early 20th century, fueled anti-Semitism and contributed to horrific acts of violence and persecution, including the Holocaust. Or consider the more recent example of the weapons of mass destruction narrative used to justify the 2003 invasion of Iraq. This narrative, later proven false, had a profound impact on global politics, leading to years of conflict and instability. These examples highlight the power of disinformation to shape public opinion and alter the course of history. But how does this apply to us and the potential timeline split? Governments, corporations, special interest groups, and even individuals can be sources of disinformation. Their motives are varied and complex, ranging from political control and financial gain to social engineering and ideological agendas. A government might spread disinformation to sway public opinion in favor of a particular policy. A corporation might use it to damage the reputation of a competitor or to promote its own products. A special interest group might disseminate false information to advance its cause, regardless of the consequences. And an individual might spread disinformation simply for personal gain or to sow discord and chaos. Detecting disinformation requires a multi-pronged approach, a combination of critical thinking skills and practical tools. Fact-checking websites like Snopes and PolitiFact can help you verify the accuracy of claims. Source verification involves examining the credibility and bias of the source of information. Reverse image search can help you determine if an image has been manipulated or taken out of context. And critical thinking skills, such as questioning assumptions, identifying biases, and evaluating evidence, are essential for navigating a complex information landscape. Be skeptical of information that evokes strong emotional reactions, especially fear or anger. These emotions can cloud your judgment and make you more susceptible to manipulation. In the context of the timeline split theory, disinformation takes on an even more insidious dimension. What if disinformation is being used to create artificial timelines, to manipulate our perceptions of which timeline we're on, or to sow confusion and discord in order to prevent us from consciously creating a preferred future? Could the Mandela effect itself be a form of disinformation, a carefully crafted illusion designed to destabilize our sense of reality? This may seem far-fetched, yet these questions push us to be hypervigilant about what we believe. However, we must also acknowledge a problem that arises from this, the erosion of social trust. This brings us to the trust no one concept and the social problems that follow. While skepticism is healthy, hyperskepticism and cynicism can be detrimental. If we distrust everything and everyone, we isolate ourselves, we become vulnerable to manipulation, and we erode the very fabric of society. The key is to find a balance, to be discerning without becoming paranoid, to question everything without rejecting everything. We have to balance trust with discernment. Now, let's examine the role of the media in shaping our perceptions of reality. The media is a powerful force, capable of influencing public opinion, setting agendas, and controlling narratives. While many journalists strive for objectivity and accuracy, media outlets can be influenced by governments, corporations, or special interest groups. This influence can manifest in various ways, such as biased reporting, selective framing, and agenda setting. Media bias can occur when a news outlet favors a particular viewpoint or political party. Framing involves presenting a story in a way that influences how it is perceived, and agenda setting refers to the media's ability to determine which issues are considered important by the public. Noam Chomsky's concept of manufacturing consent sheds light on how the media can be used to create public support for specific policies or agendas. According to Chomsky, the media acts as a propaganda system, filtering information in a way that serves the interests of powerful elites. This is achieved through various mechanisms, such as ownership, advertising, sourcing, and flack, which refers to negative responses to media content that challenges the status quo. By controlling the flow of information, the media can shape public opinion and manufacture consent for policies that benefit those in power. The rise of alternative media sources offers both opportunities and challenges. Alternative media can provide more diverse perspectives, challenge mainstream narratives, and hold power accountable. However, it also carries the risk of echo chambers, filter bubbles, and the spread of misinformation. Echo chambers occur when individuals are only exposed to information that confirms their existing beliefs, reinforcing their biases and limiting their perspectives. Filter bubbles are similar. created by algorithms that personalize online content based on individual preferences, further isolating individuals from diverse viewpoints. Navigating this landscape requires a high degree of media literacy. Media literacy involves the ability to critically evaluate media sources, identify bias, and seek out diverse perspectives. It's about being an active consumer of information rather than a passive recipient. Ask yourself, who created this content? What is their agenda? What sources did they use? Are there other perspectives on this issue? By developing your media literacy skills, you can become more resilient to manipulation and more informed about the world around you. Speaking of algorithms, let's not forget the algorithmic control exerted on social media platforms. Filter bubbles and negative reinforcement loops can trap us in cycles of negativity and division. Algorithms are designed to show us content that we're likely to engage with, which often means content that confirms our existing beliefs or evokes strong emotional reactions. This can lead to a self-reinforcing cycle, where we're constantly bombarded with information that reinforces our biases and amplifies our fears. Now, let's shift our focus to personal freedom and sovereignty, essential elements for navigating a potentially manipulated reality. Personal freedom is the ability to make choices without undue external interference, to live your life according to your own values and beliefs. It's the foundation of individual well-being and societal progress. But personal freedom is under threat from various sources, including government overreach, corporate surveillance, social pressures, and technological control. Government overreach can involve excessive regulation, unwarranted surveillance, or restrictions on civil liberties. Corporate surveillance refers to the collection and use of personal data by corporations for marketing or other purposes. Social pressures can involve conformity to social norms, fear of judgment, or the pressure to consume. And technological control refers to the use of technology to monitor, manipulate, or control individuals' behavior. Reclaiming personal sovereignty requires conscious effort, a commitment to protecting your privacy, cultivating independent thinking, resisting manipulation, and asserting your individual rights. Use privacy-enhancing technologies, such as VPNs and encrypted messaging apps, to protect your personal data. Cultivate independent thinking by questioning assumptions, seeking out diverse perspectives, and challenging your own beliefs. Resist manipulation by being skeptical of persuasive techniques, such as advertising and propaganda. And assert your individual rights by speaking out against injustice, participating in civic engagement, and holding power accountable. Personal freedom and sovereignty are directly linked to the ability to consciously create your own timeline. Individuals who are more free and sovereign are better equipped to navigate the timeline split and create a preferred reality. They're less susceptible to manipulation, more resilient to fear-based narratives, and more empowered to make choices that align with their values and goals. They're also better able to discern truth from falsehood, to identify synchronicities, and to trust their intuition. However, this requires balance. How can we be critical and aware of the effects of not having trust? How do we balance trust with discernment? This brings us to the importance of critical thinking and personal responsibility. Critical thinking is the ability to analyze information objectively and make reasoned judgments. It involves questioning assumptions, identifying biases, and evaluating evidence. Personal responsibility is the recognition that individuals have a responsibility to be informed, engaged, and proactive in shaping their own lives and the world around them. It involves taking ownership of your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions, and recognizing that you have the power to create positive change. Developing critical thinking skills requires practice and a willingness to challenge your own beliefs. Actively seek out diverse perspectives, engage in respectful debate, and be open to changing your mind. Don't be afraid to question authority, to challenge conventional wisdom, or to think outside the box. The more you exercise your critical thinking muscles, the stronger they will become. This also requires ethical considerations about timeline manipulation and conscious creation. What are the potential consequences of altering timelines? It is important to act with compassion and respect for others. But how do we put all of this together? What actionable framework can we use to identify problems and solutions? What are our responsibilities in this timeline? By now, you should be identifying what the core problems are. How do we find solutions? In the next section, we will recap all ideas, tying it to power of individual. If we accept that reality can be distorted and manipulated, we must consider the next logical step. What if organizations like the CIA have moved beyond simply researching consciousness and are actively developing advanced models of reality itself, treating it as a malleable construct ripe for influence? What advanced technologies might they be using to not just observe, but interact with potential timelines? Let's consider the theoretical possibilities. Quantum computing, for example, is no longer a futuristic fantasy. It's rapidly becoming a tangible reality. Experts across the globe are racing to unlock the power of quantum computers and the exponential leaps in processing power they promise, creating advanced technologies that can simulate realities with astonishing detail. Now, while we have no concrete evidence of the CIA using quantum computers for timeline manipulation, it is within the realm of possibility that they are exploring this potential. A sufficiently advanced quantum computer could potentially simulate countless versions of the past, present, and future, allowing for the identification of key leverage points for influencing events. The implications of this are profound, suggesting the potential for a level of control over reality that was once confined to the realm of science fiction. It would be naive to assume that powerful organizations aren't exploring these possibilities. This brings us to the intriguing concept of predictive programming. Predictive programming refers to the subtle conditioning of the public to accept future events through their repeated depiction in media. Think of movies, television shows, and even video games that depict scenarios that later unfold in the real world. Are these simply coincidences, or is there a more deliberate effort at play? If the CIA or other organizations believe in the malleability of timelines, could they be using predictive programming to subtly steer society towards a predetermined future? By gradually normalizing certain ideas or events in the public consciousness, they could be paving the way for their eventual manifestation in reality. Identifying specific examples of predictive programming can be challenging, as it often operates on a subconscious level, planting seeds of ideas that later germinate in the collective psyche. A framework for identification might involve examining media for recurring themes, symbols, or narratives that seem to foreshadow future events. It's about looking beyond the surface level and asking, what message is this really sending, and what future is it trying to create? The manipulation of timelines, whether through advanced technology or subtle psychological conditioning, raises profound ethical questions. What right does any individual or organization have to alter the course of history or predetermine the future? Consider the potential consequences of such actions. Altering the past, even with good intentions, could have unintended and catastrophic ripple effects, creating paradoxes and destabilizing the fabric of reality. And controlling the future could lead to a dystopian society where free will is an illusion and individual agency is suppressed. However, it's also important to acknowledge the potential benefits of such technology. Imagine using timeline manipulation to prevent wars, cure diseases, or solve global crises. The ethical dilemma lies in balancing the potential benefits with the inherent risks of tampering with the fundamental laws of reality. Can this technology be used for personal freedom and for controlling the population? The only way to find out is to keep asking questions. Moving beyond the hypothetical, let's explore how we can identify potential signs of timeline manipulation in our own lives. We've already discussed the Mandela effect, but what about broader examples of timeline inconsistencies those nagging feelings that something is off, like glitches in the Matrix. Have you ever experienced a strong sense of déjà vu, feeling like you've lived a moment before, even though you know you haven't? Or perhaps you've encountered strange coincidences that seem too meaningful to be random. These experiences could be subtle indicators of a shifting reality, glimpses into alternate timelines that are bleeding through into our own. Let's delve into the concept of timeline bleed-throughs. Imagine instances where objects, people, or events seem strangely out of place, as if they belong to another time or reality. Perhaps you stumble upon an old photograph that depicts a building that doesn't exist in your current reality, or you meet someone who seems to possess knowledge or skills that are anachronistic to their background. These anomalies could be evidence of timelines merging, where elements from different realities momentarily overlap. It's important to approach these claims with skepticism, recognizing that memory can be unreliable and perception can be flawed. But it's equally important to remain open to the possibility that something truly extraordinary might be occurring. Your emotional state might also be a key indicator of timeline bleed-throughs. Pay attention to your emotional responses when encountering potentially anomalous situations. Do certain memories or places evoke strong, inexplicable emotions, a sense of longing, unease, or familiarity that you can't quite explain? These emotions could be resonating with a different timeline, a reality where things played out differently, and you're picking up echoes of that alternate experience. If we are to believe this idea, our emotions are what tether us to the different potential timelines in our lives. In evaluating these claims of timeline anomalies, critical thinking is paramount. While it's tempting to jump to conclusions, we must avoid succumbing to confirmation bias, the tendency to interpret information in a way that confirms our existing beliefs. Consider alternative explanations for anomalous events. Could they be the result of misidentification, exaggeration, or even deliberate hoaxes? Could you be jumping to conclusions? Look for corroborating evidence from multiple sources and be willing to adjust your beliefs in the face of new information. However, we can't discard them, as the potential of multiple dimensions and simulated realities is something worth entertaining. Building upon our exploration of quantum physics, let's introduce the mind-bending concept of quantum computers and their potential to simulate entire realities. While classical computers store information as bits representing 0 or 1, quantum computers use qubits, which can exist in a superposition of both states simultaneously. This allows quantum computers to perform calculations that are impossible for even the most powerful classical computers, opening up the door to simulating incredibly complex systems, including entire universes. This brings us to the simulation hypothesis, the idea that our reality is not what it seems, but rather a computer-generated simulation created by an advanced civilization. Elon Musk has famously stated that he believes there is a 1 in billions chance that we are not living in a simulation. While this may sound like science fiction, it's a serious philosophical question that has been debated by scientists, philosophers, and technologists for decades. What if the universe we experience is simply a highly detailed and realistic computer program, indistinguishable from real reality? If our reality is a simulation, the implications for timeline manipulation are staggering. In a simulated world, the programmers could potentially alter the past, present, or future with a few lines of code. They could introduce new elements, remove existing ones, or even change the laws of physics. The possibilities are endless, and the implications are both exciting and terrifying. In addition, how would we ever know, and what would we do with that information? It's important to acknowledge the challenges and limitations of the simulation hypothesis. There are strong philosophical and scientific arguments against the idea that our reality is a simulation. Some argue that it's impossible to create a simulation that is as complex and detailed as our universe. Others question the motivation behind creating such a simulation. asking why an advanced civilization would choose to simulate our reality. And some argue that the simulation hypothesis is simply unfalsifiable, meaning that there is no way to prove or disprove it. Nevertheless, while the simulation hypothesis might remain in the realm of theory, the implications of simulated realities is something to entertain. What tools can we develop to protect ourselves from this potential reality? Let's move beyond obvious disinformation campaigns and focus on identifying more subtle forms of narrative manipulation and events that are designed to influence our perceptions. The powers that be are not always overt. These subtle manipulations are harder to spot, but far more insidious. The importance of looking beyond the surface level and questioning the motives behind official narratives has never been more paramount. When analyzing events, look for inconsistencies, contradictions, or elements that don't quite add up. Was there a clear motive? Who benefited from the event? What biases might have influenced the reporting? By deconstructing the official story and seeking out alternative perspectives, we can begin to pierce the veil of deception and uncover the hidden truths that lie beneath. The more we question, the more we realize what we don't know. Independent journalists, researchers, and whistleblowers play a crucial role in exposing hidden truths and challenging the status quo. By providing alternative perspectives and holding power accountable, they can help us to see through the fog of disinformation and make more informed decisions. At the same time, this is a tightrope. We have to remember the danger of cynicism and avoid this trap at all costs. It's easy to fall into cynicism, but it is a road to nowhere. A lack of trust erodes the very foundations of our society. It's important to be vigilant and stay open to the possibility that there is good in the world. So, how do we find truth? It is a complex problem and starts from looking inside ourselves. To address this, let's move from external narratives to the core of our being and consider the interconnection of information and the physical world. In our daily lives, we rarely consider how everything is connected. We often overlook how the information that comes into our senses is processed. Is it possible for information to become physical? Think about it. Information is used to create physical objects all the time. A blueprint, information, is used to build a house, physical object. Genetic code, information, is used to create a living organism, physical object. The code in a 3D printer turns digital information into tangible objects. The lines are very blurry, and our understanding of them is crucial to understanding timelines. Where does information come from? Is it a fundamental aspect of reality? Some physicists believe that information is not just a byproduct of reality, but a fundamental building block, as essential as energy or matter. Could it be that information is neither created nor destroyed, but merely manipulated and rearranged? If that's the case, who or what is doing the manipulating, and to what end? As we are discussing, there is something they're manipulating. As we are discussing, the observer plays a central role in shaping reality. When we process information and set our intentions, we exert a force on the quantum field, influencing the outcome of events. As we continue, remember the power that lies in knowing the truth and always pursue deeper understanding. So how do we actively participate in reality creation? If we are going to accept the world is manipulated, what power do we have to influence the outcomes? How can we connect these abstract ideas to what people can do in their lives? Understanding how malleable our realities may be is going to be the future. How can we, as individuals, prepare ourselves for these changing times? In overwhelming and uncertain environments, individual decisions are important. When we do not know what the future holds, every decision becomes important. It is time to ask ourselves, what control do we truly have? The only way to know is to start observing synchronicities. As we engage, we should understand ethical responsibilities. Understanding the concept of nonviolence is of the utmost importance. Altering events that are not in line with collective consciousness can do harm. As we act, keep in mind other people's intentions. As we act, remember to expand on synchronicities and prepare for changing realities. The answers we seek are all around us. The only way to notice the answers are through sensory refinement. How do we refine our sensory input for emotional intelligence? Emotion is a powerful tool and is directly connected to sensory refinement. Observation will be key in the coming years. The stronger we get at observation, the more information we can find. How do we decode emotions? Emotional cues influence decision-making. We must not be afraid of them or judge them, but rather respect and understand. Pay attention to how you feel as you walk through life so that you can get better at connecting with your intuition. Emotional intelligence is connected to synchronicities in timelines. There are patterns we can follow in life to guide us to our goals, and emotions are important in guiding us along that path. It takes mindfulness of external and internal stimuli. As you move through your life, be self-aware. In the next section, we will explore further into sensory refinement. Let's delve deeper into the rabbit hole of potential CIA involvement, specifically regarding their experimentation techniques. What if the CIA isn't just observing potential timelines, but actively trying to map and manipulate them? This brings us to the whispered-about concept of Project Looking Glass, or similar speculative technologies. While shrouded in mystery and lacking concrete proof, the core idea is compelling. Imagine a device that allows its operators to peer into potential future timelines, to see how different decisions might play out on a global scale. Such a device could theoretically be used to analyze points of divergence, those critical moments where one decision leads down one timeline and another choice sets off an entirely different chain of events. But here's where things get tricky. The very act of observing these potential futures could create feedback loops, unintended consequences that ripple through the timelines themselves. Imagine that by observing a negative future, the observers unintentionally introduce elements that make that future more likely. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy on a cosmic scale. Or perhaps, by trying to nudge a timeline in a desired direction, they inadvertently create unforeseen problems down the line. The potential for such unintended consequences raises serious ethical and practical questions about the wisdom of attempting to manipulate timelines in the first place. Do the potential benefits outweigh the almost guaranteed risks? Adding another layer to this complex narrative is the idea of temporal anomalies. From the perspective of an intelligence agency, what would constitute a deviation from the expected course of events? What would raise red flags and trigger further investigation? Perhaps it's a sudden, unexplained shift in economic trends, a political upset that defies all predictions, or the emergence of a new technology that seems to appear out of nowhere. To detect these anomalies, agencies might employ a vast array of resources, from sophisticated data analysis tools to human intelligence networks, all constantly monitoring the flow of information for anything that seems out of place or out of time. Are there algorithms out there looking for deviations? This leads us to a particularly intriguing and potentially unsettling possibility. The CIA's alleged use of mass media and social engineering to subtly influence collective consciousness and nudge timelines in a desired direction. How might they accomplish this? Through carefully crafted media narratives, public relations campaigns designed to shape public opinion, or even subtle forms of psychological manipulation designed to influence behavior on a subconscious level. Consider the potential link between Operation Mockingbird, the alleged CIA program that infiltrated the media in the past, and potential manipulation efforts happening today. While the overt tactics of Mockingbird may be a thing of the past, could more sophisticated, subtle methods of influence be in use today, shaping the information landscape in ways that we may not even realize? But here's the question that truly keeps me up at night. Is the CIA primarily reacting to timeline changes, trying to understand and adapt to a shifting reality? Or are they actively creating them, intentionally or unintentionally? Is it possible that their very attempts to observe and control timelines are actually contributing to the timeline split, exacerbating the chaos and uncertainty that we're already experiencing? What if the act of studying temporal anomalies is creating temporal anomalies? It's a question with potentially profound implications, suggesting that the very organizations tasked with maintaining order and control might be inadvertently fueling the very instability they're trying to prevent. Let's shift our focus back to the Mandela effect, viewing it not just as a curiosity, but as a potential window into the multi-dimensional nature of reality. While we've explored some of the more common examples, let's consider some lesser-known cases that challenge conventional explanations. Take, for instance, reported changes in geographical locations, islands that have disappeared or shifted on maps, mountain ranges that have altered their appearance, or even entire countries that seem to have moved. Or consider claims of changes to historical events, details of battles that have shifted, or the outcomes of elections that are remembered differently by large groups of people. These types of Mandela effects are far more difficult to attribute to simple misremembering or suggestion. Perhaps different Mandela effect examples are caused by different underlying mechanisms. Could some be caused by actual shifts in timelines, where our reality merges with a slightly different version of the past? Could others be caused by incursions from parallel realities, where objects or memories from another universe bleed through into our own? And could still others be the result of deliberate disinformation campaigns designed to sow confusion and undermine our sense of shared reality? It's possible that the Mandela effect isn't a single phenomenon, but rather a collection of related effects with diverse origins. This brings us to the intriguing concept of Mandela effect, clusters groups of related changes that seem to occur together, like a constellation of altered memories, all pointing to a common source. For example, there might be a cluster of Mandela effects related to a particular movie, a specific historical period, or a certain geographical region. Does the existence of these clusters support the idea of a multi-dimensional cause, suggesting that these changes are not random, but rather interconnected in some way? What might these clusters reveal about the underlying structure of reality, the pathways between different timelines, or the forces that are shaping our collective consciousness? Are the clusters simply coincidences, or an indicator of what events may be primed to change again? The psychological and emotional impact of experiencing the Mandela effect can be profound, leading to feelings of disorientation, confusion, and even a sense of existential unease. What does it feel like to suddenly realize that your memories don't match reality, that something you've always believed to be true is now demonstrably false? This cognitive dissonance, the clash between your internal reality and external evidence, can be deeply unsettling, shaking your faith in your own perceptions and your understanding of the world. How can we cope with the uncertainty and anxiety that the Mandela effect can create? A good start is recognizing that you are not alone. Let's dive deeper into quantum physics and explore the many worlds interpretation, MWI, as a potential framework for understanding timeline splits. The MWI suggests that every quantum measurement causes the universe to split into multiple parallel universes, each representing a different possible outcome. So, instead of a single timeline, there's a constantly branching tree of realities, with every quantum event creating new branches. This is one way to think of the timeline split, as all realities happening simultaneously. What role does consciousness play in determining which universe we experience? Does our awareness somehow collapse the wave function, causing us to choose one particular timeline out of the infinite possibilities? And if so, is it possible to consciously shift between different universes or timelines to actively select the reality that we prefer? While these questions remain firmly in the realm of speculation, they invite us to consider the profound connection between consciousness and the nature of reality itself. If our awareness is active in the process, how do we direct that energy? Quantum entanglement is another quantum concept that has implications for timeline manipulation. entangled particles are linked in such a way that they share the same fate, no matter how far apart they are. If you measure the state of one particle, you instantly know the state of the other, even if they're on opposite sides of the universe. Could entangled particles be used to communicate or transfer information between different timelines, creating a bridge between different realities? Could they act as anchors for a timeline? The many worlds interpretation isn't without its paradoxes and challenges. One of the biggest challenges is the lack of direct experimental evidence to support it. The branching of universes is thought to occur at the quantum level, making it incredibly difficult to observe or measure directly. Furthermore, the MWI raises questions about probability and free will. If every possible outcome occurs in some universe, does that mean that our choices are meaningless? Despite these challenges, the MWI remains a compelling and influential interpretation of quantum mechanics, offering a tantalizing glimpse into the possibility of parallel realities and timeline splits. We must also acknowledge that there is no consensus on the interpretation. This brings us to advanced techniques for conscious intention, tools for actively navigating the potential timeline split and shaping our reality in accordance with our desires. Practices such as reality transurfing, a system developed by Vadim Zeland, propose that reality is a multi-dimensional space of possibilities and that we can surf between different timelines by aligning our thoughts and intentions with our desired outcome. There are also visualization methods involving creating vivid mental images of our desired future, focusing on the emotions and sensations associated with that reality, and then releasing that image into the universe with unwavering belief. Alignment of thoughts, emotions, and actions is paramount in this process. To amplify the power of our intention, we must cultivate a state of coherence where our mind, heart, and body are all working in harmony. This involves consciously choosing positive thoughts, cultivating feelings of gratitude and joy, and taking actions that are consistent with our desired timeline. When our thoughts, emotions, and actions are aligned, we create a powerful energetic field that can influence the quantum field and attract our desired reality. What does it mean to be congruent with your desires? We must also learn to cultivate intuition and trust our inner guidance system. As we navigate the complexities of a potentially splitting timeline, it's essential to develop our ability to sense which path is right for us, to recognize the subtle signs and synchronicities that point us in the direction of our desired future. How do we develop our intuitive abilities? Through practices like meditation, mindfulness, and spending time in nature, we can quiet the noise of the rational mind and connect with our inner wisdom. As we consider the power of conscious intention, we must also acknowledge the ethical considerations involved. Do we have the right to influence timelines, to shape reality in accordance with our own desires? And what are the potential consequences of our actions, not just for ourselves, but for others and for the planet as a whole? We must approach this power with compassion, respect, and a deep understanding of our interconnectedness, recognizing that our choices have ripple effects that extend far beyond our immediate experience. This is why people say, be careful what you wish for, because sometimes what you think you want, you might not actually want. While concrete, scientific evidence of timeline navigation remains elusive, there are countless anecdotal stories of individuals who have consciously shifted their reality through intention. From people who have manifested seemingly impossible goals to those who have overcome chronic illnesses through the power of belief, these stories offer a glimpse into the potential of human consciousness to shape our experience of reality. Are these stories evidence of timeline navigation, or simply examples of the placebo effect or the power of positive thinking? Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in between, suggesting that our beliefs and intentions can indeed influence our reality, even if the mechanisms behind this influence remain a mystery. Understanding how personal timelines interact with collective consciousness is critical for navigating a potentially splitting reality. What happens when individual intentions and beliefs merge with the collective mindset? Does the dominant group consciousness shape individual timelines, or can individual intentions influence the collective reality? As we said earlier, they influence each other. The potential for collective consciousness to influence individual timelines highlights the importance of surrounding ourselves with positive and supportive communities. The concept of mass meditation becomes increasingly relevant. Can larger-scale meditations focused on specific outcomes influence global events? History gives some insight into this idea, but it isn't always clear. If a mass meditation is held with the intention of world peace and is followed by a period of decreased conflict, can we attribute that outcome directly to the meditation? Or were other factors at play? What does this relationship signify? Conversely, there are dangers of groupthink, and the effects on free will when people fall into lockstep with a particular ideology or belief system. When individuals suppress their own critical thinking and blindly follow the crowd, they can become susceptible to manipulation and lose their ability to make independent choices. What does the research say about these influences? As we navigate an increasingly complex and polarized world, it's essential to cultivate critical thinking skills, to question assumptions, and to remain open to alternative perspectives. Ultimately, we must recognize our responsibility to protect both individual free will and the integrity of the collective timeline. As conscious co-creators of reality, we have a duty to act with compassion, integrity, and a deep understanding of our interconnectedness. This includes promoting critical thinking, encouraging open dialogue, and resisting all forms of manipulation and control. What actions will you take to ensure free will is protected? In the next section, we will explore the idea of powers and responsibility and connect the dots on the importance of community and ethical considerations when we come to manifesting what we want in our lives. Let's turn our attention to an even more shadowy realm, the alleged shadow CIA and unacknowledged special access programs, or USAPs. While publicly acknowledged CIA activities are subject to some degree of oversight, these purported operations exist almost entirely beyond the reach of traditional accountability. So, what exactly are USAPs? Think of them as highly classified projects, often involving cutting technology and unconventional research that are shielded from public scrutiny and even, in many cases, from congressional awareness. Their very existence is often denied, making it incredibly difficult to confirm their activities or understand their scope. What makes these projects so secretive? Gathering information about USAPs presents a formidable challenge. Because of the extreme levels of classification involved, direct evidence is scarce. Instead, we're often left to rely on whistleblower testimonies, circumstantial evidence, and educated speculation based on available data. It's a world of whispers and rumors, where the truth is often obscured by layers of disinformation and plausible deniability. But the very fact that these whispers persist, that credible individuals continue to come forward with accounts of clandestine operations, suggests that there may be something more to the story. Can such claims be dismissed out of hand, or do they warrant further investigation, no matter how difficult that may be? Adding another layer of complexity is the alleged involvement of private contractors and think tanks in these USAPs. These private entities can operate with even less oversight than governmental agencies. What role might these companies play in researching and developing technologies related to timeline manipulation? Consider the potential for these private organizations to pursue ethically questionable research, free from the constraints of public opinion or legal restrictions. Are there specific companies or organizations that have been repeatedly linked to alleged USAP activities, their names surfacing in connection with reports of advanced technology development or unconventional research? Who are the key players involved, and what are their motivations? Speculating on the potential technologies and capabilities being developed within these USAPs leads us into the realm of science fiction, or perhaps, more accurately, science fact hidden from public view. Could these programs be quietly developing advanced technologies for time travel, remote viewing, or timeline manipulation that are far beyond what is publicly known? Imagine the potential implications of such technologies, both for good and for ill. What if the ability to manipulate time is within our grasp? These clandestine operations are often financed through black budget funding, a system that further obscures their activities from public view. How does this process work? Funds are allocated to various government agencies, but a portion of those funds is then diverted into secret projects, effectively hiding their true purpose. It's like a shell game, where money is shuffled around to conceal its final destination. What can be gleaned from examining publicly available budget documents, looking for anomalies or unexplained expenditures that might hint at the existence of these hidden programs? What can be learned by analyzing the patterns of resource allocation, identifying areas where funding seems disproportionate to the stated objectives? Let's move beyond simply cataloging Mandela effect examples to analyzing the patterns and rules that seem to govern these changes. Is it possible to discern any predictable patterns in the way these memory discrepancies manifest? Are certain types of information more susceptible to change than others, perhaps those related to collective cultural narratives or emotionally charged events? Consider the possibility that there are underlying principles at play, guiding the way timelines shift and memories diverge. Is there a scientific method that can be applied to the Mandela effect? Moreover, the rules of the Mandela effect might be evolving over time, with new changes emerging and old ones fading away. Perhaps the nature of reality itself is in flux, and the way these timeline shifts manifest is adapting to the changing landscape of consciousness. How can we track these shifts, documenting the emergence of new Mandela effects and the disappearance of old ones? What does this fluidity suggest about the underlying nature of reality? Does reality have a will of its own? Consider the concept of resonance fields and their potential influence on the Mandela effect. The idea is that certain beliefs, emotions, or cultural narratives might create energetic fields that amplify or dampen the effect of timeline shifts. If a large number of people hold a strong belief about a particular event, could that belief create a resonance field that makes that version of reality more resistant to change? Are there specific emotions that seem to amplify the Mandela effect, making certain memories more susceptible to alteration? Do some cultural narratives act as anchors, holding certain aspects of reality in place while others shift around them? The Mandela effect might serve as a tool for tracking timeline changes or identifying manipulated realities. Could it be an early warning system, alerting us to larger shifts in the fabric of reality? By carefully monitoring the emergence and evolution of Mandela effects, can we gain insights into the forces that are shaping our world, both seen and unseen? Can it tell us how close we are to a point of no return? What observations can you all offer about the rules of the Mandela effect? What patterns have you noticed in your own experiences, and what conclusions can we draw from those observations? Share them down below. Let's further explore quantum entanglement and its implications for consciousness, recalling that entangled particles are linked in such a way that they share the same fate, regardless of the distance between them. If you measure the state of one particle, you instantly know the state of the other, even if they're on opposite sides of the universe. This instantaneous connection defies classical physics, suggesting that there's something fundamental about reality that we don't yet fully understand. How does this spooky action at a distance, as Einstein called it, relate to the phenomenon of consciousness? How can it explain consciousness? Consider the concept of non-local consciousness, the idea that consciousness is not limited to the physical brain and can exist independently of space and time. This challenges the conventional view that consciousness is solely a product of brain activity, suggesting that it might be a fundamental property of the universe itself. Is there evidence to suggest that consciousness can affect timelines? And if so, what are the mechanisms behind this influence? Some theories propose that entangled particles might be used to transmit information or influence events across different timelines. Could entangled particles create shortcuts through spacetime, allowing information to travel faster than the speed of light? Is it possible that these entangled connections could be harnessed to influence events in other timelines, subtly nudging reality in a desired direction? Could this explain how some are able to manifest good luck or fortune? Imagine the potential for entangled human consciousness to influence timelines. If individual consciousness can affect reality at the quantum level, what happens when the consciousness of multiple individuals becomes entangled? Could a group of people, focused on a common intention, amplify their collective influence on the timeline, creating a powerful wave of change? How much more effective would the results be if people were entangled? What scientific studies and experiments have explored the relationship between consciousness and quantum phenomena, and what insights can we glean from their findings? By examining the evidence, we can begin to piece together a more complete picture of the interconnectedness of consciousness, quantum physics, and the nature of reality itself. What is the next step toward understanding it? Let's talk about specific techniques for anchoring ourselves to a preferred timeline. What if you dedicated time to creating a detailed vision board or future self profile, embodying the desired timeline in vivid detail? Include images, words, and symbols that resonate with your vision, focusing on the emotions and sensations associated with that reality. Immerse yourself in this vision regularly, allowing it to become a tangible and compelling presence in your mind. What else could you add to increase effectiveness? Develop affirmations and visualizations that are specifically tailored to anchoring to your desired timeline. Rather than general statements about success or happiness, create affirmations that reflect the specific details of your vision. Visualize yourself living in that reality, experiencing the joy, abundance, and fulfillment that you desire. Repeat these affirmations and visualizations daily, reinforcing your commitment to your chosen timeline. How does this amplify your intention? The environment and the company we keep can significantly impact our ability to anchor to a preferred timeline. Surround yourself with people, places, and objects that resonate with your desired reality, creating a supportive and inspiring atmosphere. Limit your exposure to negative influences, toxic relationships, and environments that drain your energy. Create a sanctuary that nourishes your soul and reinforces your commitment to your vision. Why is it important to limit negative influences? Consistent action and unwavering belief are essential for anchoring to a desired timeline. Act as if your desired reality is already present, making choices and taking steps that align with your vision. Even in the face of challenges or setbacks, maintain your unwavering belief that your desired timeline is inevitable. Embrace the journey with confidence and trust, knowing that you are the co-creator of your reality. How does acting as if impact belief? We can use emotional regulation to maintain a positive emotional state, even when things around us seem to be falling apart. This involves consciously managing your emotions, cultivating feelings of gratitude, joy, and love, and reframing negative thoughts and beliefs. By maintaining a positive emotional baseline, you create a powerful attractor field that draws you closer to your desired timeline. How does one regulate emotions? Consider the paradoxes associated with time travel and timeline intervention, like the grandfather paradox, where someone travels back in time and prevents their own existence, creating a logical contradiction. Or the bootstrap paradox, where an object or information is sent back in time, creating a loop with no clear origin. What do these paradoxes tell us about the nature of time itself? Do they suggest that time is not linear, but rather cyclical or multi-dimensional? Do these paradoxes act as a block to time travel? Is it ethical to alter the past or future? What are the potential consequences of interfering with the natural flow of time? Could even well-intentioned interventions have unforeseen and negative ripple effects, creating unintended consequences that far outweigh any perceived benefits? How is this playing out today? Perhaps there should be a temporal prime directive, a set of ethical guidelines for interacting with timelines to minimize the risk of causing harm. This could involve restricting interventions to certain types of events, requiring careful consideration of potential consequences, and prioritizing the preservation of free will and individual autonomy. But who would enforce such a directive, and how could we ensure that it is followed? What could these guidelines entail? As we become more aware of our power to influence timelines, we must also embrace a greater sense of responsibility and compassion. Our choices have consequences, not just for ourselves, but for others and for the planet as a whole. Let's act with intention, integrity, and a deep understanding of our interconnectedness, recognizing that we are all co-creating this reality together. We must also learn from those that have made mistakes in the past to ensure we are not repeating those same mistakes. What actions will you take today? Now, let's turn our attention to how the narrative splits to personal freedoms, manipulation, and disinformation through a conspiracy perspective. Let's delve deeper into this conspiracy perspective by exploring the concept that seemingly disparate methods of timeline influence might actually be interconnected, all working towards a common goal. Think of it as an orchestra, where each instrument disinformation campaigns, predictive programming in media, and even advanced technologies plays a specific part. But the conductor has a single score in mind: to shape collective consciousness and steer timelines in a predetermined direction. Could it be that what appears as random chaos is actually a carefully orchestrated symphony of manipulation? What examples can we point to that illustrate this convergence? Consider how a carefully crafted news story, disinformation, might subtly reinforce themes presented in a popular movie, predictive programming, while advanced AI algorithms analyze social media trends to fine-tune the message for maximum impact. What is the result? These methods don't operate in isolation. They reinforce each other, creating a synergistic effect that's far more powerful than any single approach. Disinformation sows seeds of doubt and confusion, predictive programming normalizes certain future scenarios, and advanced technologies provide the tools to monitor and manipulate the population's response. The result is a feedback loop, where each element amplifies the others, making it increasingly difficult to discern truth from fiction or to resist the intended narrative. But what happens when these attempts to manipulate timelines backfire? What if, in their pursuit of control, these actors inadvertently unleash unintended consequences that disrupt their plans and create unforeseen opportunities for change? What measures can be taken to avoid this? Trying to manipulate complex systems like timelines is fraught with peril. There is always the potential for feedback loops and unintended consequences that can throw even the most carefully laid plans into disarray. This is where the all paths lead to Rome concept becomes particularly relevant. Imagine Rome as a specific desired outcome or a particular timeline that certain actors are trying to create. All of their manipulation, methods, the disinformation, the predictive programming, the technological interventions are like roads leading to that destination. However, the landscape is unpredictable, and unforeseen events can easily divert travelers from their intended route. Is it possible that the very act of trying to control the future creates the very conditions that undermine that control? The Rome metaphor raises a crucial question. What exactly is the Rome that these actors are trying to reach? What are their ultimate goals? Is it a world of total control, where individual autonomy is sacrificed for the sake of order and stability? Or is it something else entirely, a future that serves their own interests at the expense of humanity? Perhaps Rome isn't a place at all, but a state of being a collective consciousness that is easily manipulated and controlled. By understanding the intended destination, we can better understand the methods being used to get there and the potential consequences of allowing them to succeed. How can we find a different path? Now, let's debunk some common misconceptions about timeline manipulation. One of the biggest is the assumption that it's always intentional or malicious, a deliberate plot hatched by shadowy figures. But what if some timeline shifts are simply unintentional side effects of other actions, the result of natural processes or unforeseen consequences? Think of the butterfly effect. A small change in initial conditions can lead to massive, unpredictable changes down the line. A seemingly insignificant decision made today could ripple through time, creating unforeseen shifts in the timeline. Is it possible that we are all, in some small way, unintentionally manipulating timelines simply by living our lives? Or is there always intent? Another misconception is that timeline manipulation is always a top-down process, controlled by powerful elites pulling the strings from behind the scenes. While it's certainly true that those in positions of power have the resources and influence to shape events on a large scale, it's also crucial to recognize the role of individual consciousness and collective intention in shaping timelines. The power of grassroots timeline shifts, changes that emerge from the collective consciousness of ordinary people, cannot be ignored. When enough individuals focus their intention on a particular outcome, they can create a powerful wave of change that can alter the course of history. Is it possible that the future is not determined by a select few, but by the collective choices of humanity? What can we learn from the past? Let's also challenge the notion that timeline manipulation is purely a technological or scientific endeavor, a matter of advanced technology and quantum physics. While these factors certainly play a role, it's important to remember the importance of spiritual, psychological, and emotional factors in shaping reality. Our beliefs, emotions, and intentions are powerful forces that can influence the timeline. A positive mindset, a strong sense of purpose, and a deep connection to something larger than ourselves can all contribute to creating a more desirable future. How can we find a balance between the technological and the spiritual, or are they one in the same? Ultimately, it's essential to remember that timelines are not fixed or predetermined. The future is not written in stone. We have the power to influence our own reality, to choose the timeline we want to inhabit. By understanding the forces that are shaping our world, by challenging limiting beliefs, and by consciously focusing our intentions, we can create a future that is aligned with our highest aspirations. What steps will you take to claim your power? To that end, let's introduce the concept of shadow work, the process of exploring and integrating the hidden or repressed aspects of one's personality. It is a way to increase self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and resilience. Imagine your shadow self as a room filled with forgotten memories and repressed emotions. Shadow work is the practice of opening that room, exploring its contents, and integrating those aspects of yourself into your conscious awareness. How can this lead to greater self-acceptance and personal power? And what does this have to do with timelines? When we repress negative emotions, harbor limiting beliefs, or engage in self-sabotaging patterns, we are essentially creating energetic blockages that can attract undesirable timelines. By acknowledging and integrating these shadow aspects, we release those blockages, allowing us to align with more positive and fulfilling possibilities. This is not about eliminating the shadow. It's about understanding it, accepting it, and integrating it into our whole being. All aspects of our shadow selves should be acknowledged and resolved. How does this create inner harmony? There are many practical techniques for engaging in shadow work. Journaling can be a powerful tool for exploring your inner landscape, uncovering hidden beliefs and patterns, and processing difficult emotions. Meditation can help you to quiet your mind, connect with your intuition, and access deeper levels of awareness. Therapy can provide a safe and supportive space to explore your shadow aspects with the guidance of a trained professional. The point is to approach this work with courage, compassion, and a willingness to confront the darker aspects of yourself. How can we start integrating our shadow aspects today? By integrating your shadow, You become more resilient to the challenges and uncertainties of a shifting reality. You are no longer controlled by unconscious patterns or repressed emotions. You are more self-aware, more emotionally intelligent, and more capable of navigating the complexities of life with grace and equanimity. This inner resilience translates into outer resilience, making you less susceptible to the negative influences of the world and more able to create a positive future for yourself and others. This brings us to the role of forgiveness and compassion. How do forgiveness and compassion play a role? Unresolved conflicts, resentment, and hatred create negative resonance fields that perpetuate cycles of violence and suffering. Forgiveness, on the other hand, dissolves those negative fields, creating space for healing and reconciliation. It's not about condoning harmful behavior. It's about releasing the emotional baggage that keeps you trapped in the past and prevents you from moving forward. But is it always possible? Is it about forgiving or understanding? Collective forgiveness requires releasing collective trauma and resentment, which is necessary to heal the wounds of the past and create a more positive future for humanity. Think about the legacy of slavery, the Holocaust, or the countless other atrocities that have been committed throughout history. These events have created deep wounds in the collective psyche, and until we collectively acknowledge and release the pain, we will continue to be haunted by the past. Is it possible to truly forgive such acts? And if so, how do we begin the process? What steps must be taken to achieve true forgiveness? Cultivating forgiveness and compassion can be achieved through practices such as loving-kindness meditation and Ho'oponopono. Loving-kindness meditation involves extending feelings of love and compassion to oneself, to loved ones, to neutral individuals, to difficult people, and to all beings. Ho'oponopono is an ancient Hawaiian practice of reconciliation and forgiveness that involves taking responsibility for everything that appears in your reality and repeating the phrases, "I'm sorry," "Please forgive me," "Thank you," and "I love you." These practices can help to soften the heart, release resentment, and cultivate a sense of interconnectedness with all beings. How can we incorporate these practices into our daily lives? Forgiveness can dissolve negative resonance fields and create space for positive timelines to emerge. It's like clearing away the debris after a storm, making room for new growth and new possibilities. When we forgive ourselves and others, we release the energetic blockages that keep us trapped in the past and open ourselves up to a more harmonious and fulfilling future. In closing, it is important to emphasize the importance of building a positive timeline community and support system. Connecting with like-minded individuals provides encouragement, inspiration, and practical support. This journey of self-discovery and timeline navigation is not meant to be traveled alone. Connecting with others who share your values and aspirations can provide a much-needed sense of belonging, validation, and encouragement. A positive community will also help to expand your knowledge through shared experiences and resources. How can we connect with these positive groups of individuals? To find or create a positive timeline community, look for online forums, local groups, or workshops that focus on conscious creation, spirituality, or personal growth. Start by searching for communities that align with your interests and values. Attend meetings, participate in discussions, and reach out to individuals who resonate with you. If you can't find a community that meets your needs, consider creating your own. Host gatherings, organize workshops, or start an online forum to connect with like-minded individuals in your area. What are some of the first steps in building a community? When building a community, it is important to set clear boundaries and avoiding negative or toxic individuals. Not all communities are created equal. Some can be draining, judgmental, or even harmful. Pay attention to the energy of the community and the individuals within it. If you find yourself feeling depleted, discouraged, or manipulated, it may be time to distance yourself. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, support your growth, and inspire you to be your best self. How can we create a personal energetic boundary? Reciprocity and mutual support are crucial in a healthy community. A healthy community is one where everyone feels valued, respected, and supported. Contribute your own skills, knowledge, and resources to the community. Offer encouragement, lend a listening ear, and share your experiences. By creating a culture of reciprocity and mutual support, we can build a community that empowers each member to thrive and co-create a positive future together. As you move forward, remember that your beliefs are powerful. Shaping not only your personal reality, but also contributing to the collective consciousness that influences the very fabric of existence. We've journeyed through the looking glass, haven't we? From questioning the nature of reality itself, to exploring the CIA's potential involvement in timeline research, from grappling with the Mandela effect to understanding the implications of quantum physics, it's been quite a ride. We've seen how conscious intention, emotional resonance, and belief systems act as powerful attractors, shaping the timelines we experience. We've explored shadow work and forgiveness, not as abstract concepts, but as practical tools for navigating a shifting world. The goal has been to see the interconnectedness of seemingly disparate concepts. Have you begun to grasp how a change in the way that you frame your existence will ultimately impact the world around you? What if the key to navigating this potential timeline split lies not in grand gestures, but in the small, consistent choices we make every day? By consciously choosing thoughts, emotions, and actions that align with our highest values, we become active participants in the creation of our reality. We are not passive victims of circumstance, but powerful co-creators, capable of shaping our own destinies. This is not just about positive thinking, it's about cultivating a deep sense of self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and ethical responsibility. Are you ready to accept that you are more powerful than you have been led to believe? Rather than viewing the timeline split as a source of fear or anxiety, what if we embrace it as an unprecedented opportunity for personal and collective evolution? This is a chance to break free from limiting beliefs, to transcend old paradigms, and to create a future that is more aligned with our highest aspirations. Existence is not a fixed, immutable reality. It is a fluid, ever-changing process, and understanding this allows us to tap into our full potential. There will be those who would question our purpose, or even claim that timeline splits are not real. It is acceptable to proceed with skepticism and open-mindedness, but independent thought is the most important aspect to consider. Will you be able to find the correct path forward? Acknowledging the complexities of this journey, let's tie this into a broader context. How might the concept of a timeline split illuminate some of the societal trends we see today, such as increasing polarization, the erosion of shared reality, and the proliferation of conflicting narratives? Perhaps these trends are not merely political or social phenomena, but symptoms of a larger shift in the fabric of existence, as different groups of people gravitate toward increasingly divergent timelines. What does this imply about the need for empathy, understanding, and open dialogue in a world that seems to be increasingly divided? Or is the path forward to simply choose what aligns with your personal existence? Let's reiterate the ethical considerations that arise when we talk about timeline manipulation and conscious creation. With great power comes great responsibility, and it's crucial to act with compassion, respect, and a deep awareness of the potential consequences of our actions and intentions. Are we creating a better future for all beings, or are we simply pursuing our own selfish desires at the expense of others? How can we ensure that our efforts to shape reality are guided by the highest good? To act without ethical considerations is to walk into a minefield, isn't it? Consider those meaningful coincidences, those synchronicities that have peppered your life, perhaps even intensified as you've explored these concepts with us. Remember, these are not random occurrences. They are signposts, pointing you toward a particular path, confirming that you are aligned with a specific timeline. Pay attention to these signs, trust your intuition, and act on the opportunities that present themselves. But remember, Awareness without action is like a ship without a sail. You must take concrete steps to embody your new understanding and bring your desired reality into being. What actions will you take today to align yourself with a more positive and fulfilling timeline? Do you think you can act without understanding? Self-awareness is the bedrock upon which all timeline navigation is built. By understanding your own beliefs, emotions, and patterns of behavior, you can begin to identify the areas where you are out of alignment with your desired reality. Shadow work, as we discussed, is a powerful tool for uncovering these hidden aspects of yourself and integrating them into your conscious awareness. And forgiveness, both of yourself and others, is essential for releasing the energetic baggage that keeps you trapped in the past. By forgiving, we are able to move forward into a world of new understanding. Remember that the powers that be have played a part in manipulating our path, but now is the time to begin working towards the path that you want. As you embark on this journey, remember the power of these three actions: accept, act, reiterate. Accept where you are, act towards where you want to be, and reiterate this constantly. What new world do you hope to build? To that end, remember to be mindful of your intentions, ensuring that they align with your highest values and contribute to the well-being of all. Your intention acts like a tuning fork, resonating outward and influencing the collective consciousness. By consciously choosing intentions that are rooted in love, compassion, and a desire for the greater good, you can amplify your positive impact on the world. Will you choose to act with kindness and integrity? As we draw to a close, I want to acknowledge that many questions remain unanswered. The nature of reality is still a mystery, and there is much more to explore. I will be delving deeper into related topics in future videos, such as advanced timeline navigation techniques, the science of consciousness, and the untold history of the Shadow CIA. This journey has just begun, and I invite you to join me as we continue to explore the uncharted territories of reality. You can subscribe to the channel for more content on these topics. For now, I encourage you to take concrete steps to apply these concepts in your own lives. Practice conscious intention, engage in shadow work, connect with a positive timeline community, and most importantly, trust your own intuition. Seek out resources that can support you on your journey, such as websites, books, or workshops. And please share your own experiences, insights, and questions in the comments section. Let's create a community of explorers supporting each other as we navigate this shifting landscape. We'll leave you with this final thought: the split is now. Are you